You violated the law.
Man, I am really loving this new world that we live in, where game developers on Twitter keep fighting against one another, talking smack about one another's games in some way, shape, or form. First, it was Baldur's Gate. Now, today, it's Starfield. So I found something that I want to share with you guys. Mark Kern, who was the former lead for OG World of Warcraft and also produced Diablo II and StarCraft, commented on Starfield's start screen, saying the physiognomy of start screens. The start screen of a game can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was or how much pride they took in their work. Starfield's start screen either shows hasty shipping deadlines by a passionate team overworked or a team that doesn't care. Kern elaborates further, saying start screens are often done at the very end of development. Teams are too busy making the core game. It's quite common for the start screen to completely change once the game is shipping or on patch 0. Teams that take pride want to put a good face forward and will often redo these just prior to the game going live. So what is going on with developers wanting to throw stones at the works of their peers? Because I'm really not understanding it. First, it's Baldur's Gate 3, people trying to act like they don't need to be held to the same standard as it, and then now all of a sudden you have people throwing stones at the start screen for Starfield. Like, it's just ridiculous. And this specifically is also completely off base, because we've seen games that have incredibly intricate and fantastic start screens that ended up being terrible. And we've also seen games that have very minimalistic start screens that end up being absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not refuting that start screens don't mean something to the player, because I think they have. They have for a long time. And it's kind of been a tradition for a lot of companies to keep start screens similar to the games that they've always made. See, start screens are the very canvas on which the very essence of the game is first painted. In our first few moments playing any game, they shape our expectations, emotions, and anticipations of playing that game. The very careful auditory and visual cues, they set the tone for the game. Maybe it's something haunting like Resident Evil, or the heroism that's installed from Elden Ring, or the lasting impact of something like Ocarina of Time. These start screens aren't just gateways into gameplay, they're our gateway into immersion. The music, the colors, and the carefully chosen elements resonate within us. They give us something that we may not even notice ourselves. Each pixel, each note, are begging for us to press the start button and experience our next adventure. Start screens are the very prologue to our adventure. Whether it's simplicity or intricacy, they kindle a spark that ignites our connection to the game. And then it clicked in my mind that this post this guy made has no legitimacy. They're just playing on the heartstrings of the gamer because they know how much start screens mean to us. We may not know it until we start thinking about it. You, just as much as me, probably have favorite start screens of your own. Some of mine are like Halo. Oh my God. The minute that song starts to swell, every single time, I am ready to go. But if we want to talk about simplistic start screens, look at something like Elden Ring. That music swelling in the background, and it's just the logo on the screen. There's nothing else that's going on. And you can't tell me that the minute that you start hearing that song swell up doesn't get you pumped to start playing that game. It's just weird that you're trying to throw stones at the start screen of a game, especially when we're talking about Starfield, made by Bethesda, who's always had relatively simplistic start screens. And actually, he goes in to throw a couple more rocks on top. Another Twitter user responded saying, I disagree in this case because Bethesda start screens have always been bland. This fits the Skyrim/Fallout 4 style completely. Kern responds, I seem to recall they were passionate teams that shipped fast and buggy. Seems to fit my point. And Venator is completely right in this regard because Skyrim has one of the most bland and simple start screens ever. However, it also has one of the most beautiful soundtracks in all of gaming. Not to mention, it is one of the most highly touted, one of the most awarded games in all of gaming history. It's still one of the most iconic RPGs of all time, still to this very day. It has tons of modders across the world working on different versions of the game and still playing it every single day. And then that's where we see the narrative start to develop. And this is something that we've seen with Starfield basically since day one. Once we start talking about a Bethesda game, it's always Bethesda. It's a buggy game. That's how their games are, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, that's actually true because most Bethesda games, when initially released, are going to have a fair share of bugs. But this is something that's very similar to Baldur's Gate 3. When you're talking about an RPG with the amount of density that both of these games are going to be offering, there's going to be a couple issues here and there that you're just not going to be able to iron out before the game is released. And players are much more understanding of that when the game that's presented to us is something that's actually fun and enjoyable. Because if you're enjoying the game and you love the game, you're a lot more likely to forgive a few bugs here and there, probably report a couple issues so that way that stuff gets fixed, and just continue on enjoying and playing the game. I don't like the fact that this feeds into this weird console war narrative as well. And I hate the fact that Baldur's Gate's also been a part of that discussion, where I've seen people tweet about how Baldur's Gate 3 isn't ready for pre-download on PlayStation 5, but Xbox has Starfield already ready to install. That has nothing to do with anything. That has to do with shipping times, and it doesn't even matter. I don't subscribe to any of that console war stuff. The fact that you need to have your game not only be good, but also better than everybody else's favorite game is just cringe. Like, it just genuinely is weird. Just enjoy games. You don't need your game to be better than everybody else's. You just need to enjoy your game. That's it. And I'm not going to highlight any of the tweets that I've seen about people trying to pull this console war stuff between Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 because, again, it's just weird. And I'm not going to promote it by even giving it an ounce on my channel. Simple as that. However, what I will say is there's no reason at all to try to judge a game sheerly off of its title screen. If anything, when I look at the start screen for Starfield, it makes me interested in the game. It's sleek. It's easy on the eyes. And it's mysterious. It begs exploration. If anything, I actually think this is probably one of the best start screens that they've ever had. Now, I haven't been able to hear the music that's on it yet, and that'll probably change my complete opinion of it. But at first glance, it looks good to me. So, I hate to see these kind of things pop up. I really do. Because I'd rather see more stuff like we had with Baldur's Gate, where people are actually having some pretty genuine conversations that bring a lot more things to light, rather than throwing speculation on whether or not a game is complete or ready to ship. It's sad to see that things are in a place like this, especially when it's coming from somebody that has had a history of really great games that they've worked on themselves. But this feels like it's just attention-seeking more than anything. I hope that Starfield's incredible, just as I had already hoped that Baldur's Gate was incredible, and obviously it is. But why don't we just have 2 great games this year? Or 3? Or a handful? Because we've been relatively lucky. So let's continue to be lucky this year. We deserve it. That's all I had today. I just wanted to bring this up, give it a little bit of light, talk to you guys about it, and that's about it. Hope you guys have a great week. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, my friends, and I probably have some Starfield content coming on the way. Peace.